Have you ever found yourself standing in your own kitchen, a pot simmering on the stove? When your grown son or daughter fires off a sharp comment that lands like a slap? Maybe it's about a choice you made years ago, or the way you reminded them to grab a jacket, or a disagreement about how you're grandparenting. One minute you're tasting soup, the next your heart is racing, your jaw tight, and the house feels smaller than it did a moment ago. If that scene sounds familiar, you are in very good company. After 60, most of us have lived long enough to know that love doesn't prevent conflict. It only invites us to handle it better. And when the person across from you is angry with you, really angry, it can feel unfair, confusing, and deeply personal. Today we're going to talk about how to steady yourself, lower the temperature, and guide the moment back toward connection. We'll look at what to avoid, what to do instead, and how to say it in plain language that works in real homes with real families. Let's start with a simple truth that takes the sting out of these moments. Big feelings, even from big kids, are normal. Anger is often a cover for something more tender. Disappointment, fear, loss, embarrassment. When emotions run high, reasoning runs low, for them and for us. That means our most precious tool is not the perfect argument or a stack of facts. It's our ability to stay calm enough to make good choices while feelings are loud. Think of yourself as the thermostat in your family. If you stay set to cool, the whole room slowly follows your lead. If you spike, the heat rises. So as we walk through this, picture one recent conversation that got hot. Keep it in mind. We'll keep returning to it and trying out different words and moves you can actually use. The first habit that backfires is one we all reach for without thinking: telling them to calm down. You've probably said it, I've said it, and every parent I know has tried it at least once. It's perfectly reasonable to want the noise to drop. But those words almost never help in the moment. Calm down sounds like a command they aren't capable of following yet, or a judgment that their feelings are too big. For a child, a teenager, or even a 40-year-old with a full plate, it can feel like you're dismissing what they're going through. If someone told you to relax right when you were most upset, would it help? Usually it makes our shoulders go up, not down. So what can you do that works better? You go first. Calm voice, calm face, calm body. That's the whole move. It's not fancy, but it's powerful. Lower your tone just one notch. Soften your eyes. Unclench your jaw. Uncross your arms. Even if your knees ache or your back is fussy that day, lean your weight evenly on both feet, or sit down with your hands open on your lap. Your body teaches the room what to do next. If you're on the phone, slow your breathing for 2 full exhales before you answer. If it's a video call with a daughter who's juggling work and kids, let your face say, "I'm on your side," before your words try to fix anything. Sometimes I'll even narrate what I'm doing so the other person can match me. I'm going to speak a little slower because I care about getting this right. That line invites them to shift, without telling them to calm down. Here's a real-life script you can borrow in the kitchen scene. Your adult child raises their voice about you giving the grandkids a second cookie. You feel your chest tighten. Instead of "stop yelling," try, "I want to understand. I'm going to lower my voice because this is important to me." Then actually do it. Keep your sentences short and your pace gentle. If they interrupt, that's okay. Let the wave pass. When it's your turn again, keep your voice where you said it. You'll be surprised how often their tone follows yours within a minute or two. The second habit that trips us up is losing our own temper. It's so easy to do, especially when we feel blamed or misunderstood. And the older we are, the more we've earned our opinions, which makes it hard to swallow a sharp remark from a kid we diapered and fed. But anger stacked on anger builds a staircase no one wants to climb. If you match their volume, the conversation shifts from problem-solving to winning and losing. The goal becomes to be right instead of to be close. and afterward everybody feels bruised. Holding your center starts long before the next argument. It sounds simple, but having a grounding routine makes all the difference when a storm rolls in. Keep a glass of water within reach during tense conversations. Take a slow sip before you answer. Plant your feet. Name your own feeling quietly in your mind. Hurt, scared, defensive. Naming it helps you not act it out. If you wear a ring or bracelet, touch it to remind yourself you want connection, not victory. If you're in person and your hands are busy with dinner, set the spoon down. The small act tells your nervous system, we're going to respond, not react. And yes, you can step away without slamming the door on the relationship. The key is to make space without punishment. Instead of blurting, I can't deal with this, try, I want to give this a fair conversation, and I need 2 minutes to steady myself. I'll be right back. Then keep your promise. Walk to the sink, run cool water over your hands, breathe out longer than you breathe in, and return. If your child is on the other end of a phone, you can say, let me grab my walker from the hall so I can sit. I'll stay on the line while I do. You're not abandoning them. You're modeling how to press pause. A favorite line that helps lower everyone's defenses is this: I care more about us than about being right. That sentence can feel like someone opened a window in a stuffy room. It doesn't mean you agree with everything they're saying. It simply tells them you value the relationship more than the scoreboard. Many adult children carry a quiet fear that their parents just don't get them. When you signal safety, you give them permission to put their guard down and meet you in the middle. Now let's look at another reflex that sounds helpful but usually makes things worse. Telling them what they should or shouldn't feel. You've heard versions of it. There's no reason to be upset. Don't be angry. You're overreacting. Those phrases come from a good place. We want to spare them pain. But feelings don't respond to logic on command. Imagine telling your own heart not to pound during a set of stairs. You can tell it all day long. It's going to do what it does until it settles. When you tell someone they shouldn't feel what they feel, they don't get less upset. They get upset and alone. And loneliness magnifies anger like a microphone. What helps instead is buying a little time and offering a little space while still staying present. You don't have to fix anything in the first 60 seconds. That's a relief, right? Try this. I can hear how strong this is. Take a moment. I'm here. Or, let's give this a minute so we can be kinder to each other. I'm not going anywhere. If you're in the car with a grandchild who's kicking the seat after you said it's time to go home, you can ask, how long do you need for the mad? 1 minute or 2? Make it a choice between 2 reasonable options. Younger kids often calm themselves faster when they feel some control. Grown kids do too. You can adapt it for them. Do you want to talk this through now, or should we touch base in an hour after we've both caught our breath? Once you've made a little room, you can add in something that works like a cool compress on a hot forehead. Empathy and reflective listening. That's just a gentle way of saying, listen for the heart of what they're telling you and hand it back in plain words. If your daughter is angry because you shared a story about her with a neighbor, you might say, I'm hearing that you felt exposed, like I took a private moment public. If your son is upset that you turned down last-minute babysitting, try, it sounds like you felt stuck and wished I'd said yes because you needed help. If they correct you, that's good news. It means they're starting to clarify instead of accuse. You can follow with, okay, thank you for telling me. I want to get this right. None of that is surrender. It's simply showing you understand the feeling behind the words. People calm down when they feel seen. You can use your own life to connect without taking over the conversation. A gentle bridge sounds like, I remember feeling something similar when my parents had opinions about my budget. I didn't feel trusted. Is it anything like that for you? Notice you're asking, not assuming. If they say no, don't argue. Just try again or stay with silence for a beat. Silence can be very kind. It gives the other person a chance to find their own words instead of defending themselves against yours. A practical tip here: keep your sentences short when emotions are big. Long explanations often sound like lectures, and lectures are fuel on a fire. Aim for 10 words at a time. I hear you. I'm listening. Pause. I want to do better. Pause. Tell me what mattered most. Those small phrases create handholds for the other person to climb down from their anger. If you've ever tried to climb into a pickup with a high step, you know how helpful a sturdy handle can be. You're offering one. If you find yourself tempted to solve the whole problem right away, fine, I'll never tell anyone anything ever again. Or, I'll babysit every Friday no matter what. Try not to sign a lifelong contract in the middle of a storm. Overpromising can lead to resentment later and another blow-up. It's enough to say period. I want to make a repair. Let's find a way that works for both of us. That keeps the door open without locking you into something your body or calendar can't sustain. Some of you are caring for a spouse, watching your own energy carefully, juggling medical appointments, or living on a fixed income that requires planning every errand. When your child is angry, it can feel like they're ignoring all those realities. Bring your truth gently into the room once the volume drops. I love being with the kids. My body needs notice to keep up. Can we plan together by Tuesday each week? You're not defending yourself. You're giving them information so they can succeed with you. Most kids want that. They just need the path drawn clearly. If politics, faith, or lifestyle choices are the spark, it's especially important to separate the person from the topic. A sentence that helps is, "You matter to me more than this issue." You can add, "I can love you fully and disagree kindly." Those words are a shelter during storms we can't solve in one talk. Many families discover that agreement is not the most important ingredient in closeness. Respect is. Curiosity is. Humor is. But those only come out when the temperature drops and you've learned how to help it drop. Notice how each of these moves doesn't require the other person to change first. That's empowering at any age, but it's especially reassuring later in life when we can't control everyone else's choices. You can control your breath. You can set your voice. You can ask for a minute without making it a punishment. You can reflect back what you heard. You can keep the relationship bigger than the argument. Bit by bit, that changes the weather in your home. And when you've steadied things enough to see each other again, there's another simple shift that keeps the conversation human and hopeful even after a rough start. One small way to do that is to trade blame for curiosity. Blame sounds like, "This is your fault," or "You always do this." And even when it's accurate, it slams the door. Curiosity cracks a window and invites fresh air. "Help me understand what felt worst about that." Or, "What were you hoping I would do instead?" It's gentle, but it isn't weak. It redirects the energy from attacking to explaining, which is where solutions live. If your son is furious because you didn't loan him the car, blame makes you both dig trenches. Curiosity gets you information you can use. Maybe he had a tight work deadline, or maybe he felt embarrassed asking in front of his own kids. When people feel understood, they fight less and cooperate more. That's why another phrase to retire, especially when tempers are high, is any version of "You brought this on yourself." We say it to teach, but in the heat of the moment, it teaches the opposite lesson. That opening up leads to shame. Your adult child is far more likely to learn something later if you protect their dignity now. You don't have to pretend nothing went wrong. You just postpone the lecture long enough for the anger to drain. Picture it like letting a pot settle before moving it off the burner. If you grab it while the liquid is boiling, it splashes. If you wait a minute, you can carry it safely. When your daughter snaps that you shouldn't have told Aunt Ruth about her job change, Try, "I can see I missed the mark. Tell me what privacy looks like to you," instead of, "Well, that's what happens when you make everything a big secret." You're still going to address the boundary. You're just choosing a path that keeps both of you dry. You might be thinking, if I don't point out the obvious mistake, how will anything change? That's where a different kind of teaching shows up, one that works better after the temperature drops. I call it the calm debrief. It's simple, human, and remarkably effective. When the dust has settled, you circle back with kindness and clarity. That was rough for both of us. I want to understand what I missed and share what I need going forward. Not a speech, not a verdict, a conversation. Many families find a short walk or washing dishes together makes this easier than sitting face to face. Movement calms the body, and when the body calms, the mind opens. Before we get to that later moment, there's a middle step that keeps anger from flaring back up while you're still in it. Offer a small, specific choice that gives the other person control over something non-essential. Control is a painkiller for anger. You can say, "Would you like to sit at the table or keep talking while I stir?" Or, "Do you want me to respond now or listen first and talk in 5?" Even saying, "Do you want water or tea while we sort this out?" can change how the exchange feels. You're not dodging responsibility. You're sharing the steering wheel just enough to help the other person feel like a partner instead of a passenger. If the argument involves your limits, and after 60, limits are real and necessary. State them in a way that protects the relationship. "I love helping with the kids. My body needs notice to do it well. If we plan by Tuesday, I can say yes more often." Notice how that's different from period. Don't spring things on me. You're still clear. You're simply pointing toward what works, not just away from what doesn't. Clarity wrapped in care is easier to hear, and it makes future cooperation much more likely. When the words in your head sound like, "I told you so," that's your cue to pause. That phrase is tempting because it releases your own frustration. You warned them. You predicted this mess. You were right. But every "I told you so" spends respect like a dollar bill, and it takes a long time to earn that dollar back. If your son ignored your advice about a used car and it broke down, you may feel the rightness of your earlier warning buzzing under your skin. The medicine here is humility with a purpose. Try, "I hate that you're dealing with this. Do you want comfort, ideas, or a hand making calls?" Offering a menu keeps you from lecturing and helps them tell you what would actually help. If they choose comfort, you listen and nod. If they choose ideas, you brainstorm without a victory lap. If they want help, you make one call together and stop before you're taking over their life. You get to be helpful without rewriting the past or rubbing the lesson in. Sometimes the anger coming at you taps on old bruises of your own. Maybe you were blamed unfairly as a child, or maybe you spent years swallowing your words to keep the peace. When your grown child raises their voice, those old echoes wake up. That's normal, and it doesn't disqualify you from doing well now. It just means you may need an extra breath before you answer. It can help to put your hand over your heart and say quietly, "This is a new moment." If you find yourself flooded, hands shaking, mouth dry, speak your need without making it a punishment. "I want to continue and I need a short break. I'll come back in 10 minutes. Set a timer if you worry you'll avoid the conversation. Keeping your word builds trust faster than winning an argument ever will. Let's return to empathy for a moment, because it's the engine of everything we're building. Empathy isn't agreeing. It's recognizing the feeling underneath the words and letting the other person see you see it. When your daughter says, "You never take my side," you might want to defend or list the times you did. Try this instead. "It sounds lonely to feel like I'm not with you." She may still be mad, but you've moved from courtroom to living room. That sentence makes room for the truth that love and mistakes can coexist. And when there is room, people stop shouting to be heard. There are also times when empathy includes protecting yourself. If the language turns cutting or disrespectful, you can be both warm and firm. I want to keep talking. I don't do name-calling. I'll come back when we can be respectful. This is different from slamming the phone down or going silent for days. It's a boundary with the lights on. It teaches your kids how to stay near you without hurting you. And it teaches you that you don't have to tolerate harm to prove your love. That's a lesson worth passing down to the grandkids too. You may be navigating these conversations while living alone, managing health appointments, or grieving a partner. That changes the emotional weather. You might be carrying more silence than you used to, so any sharp word hits harder. Build a little support around yourself so you're not using the argument itself to meet all your needs. Keep a friend you can text after a hard call. Write down 3 sentences that help you reset and tape them inside a cupboard. I'm steady. We're learning. We'll try again. Light a lamp in the evening. Not just the overhead. Even small acts of kindness to your own nervous system make you sturdier the next time your phone buzzes with a complicated conversation. When a conflict involves money, the stakes feel higher. Money means security, and security is precious as we age. If your child is angry about a no or even an uncomfortable yes, wrap your answer in context and care. I love you. I also have to respect my budget so I can stay independent. I can contribute this much, and I'll help you think through the rest. If they push back, repeat the core message calmly. You're not required to offer a legal brief. A sentence or two of truth is enough, delivered kindly and consistently. Over time, that steadiness is how families learn what is and isn't available, and how to love each other inside real limits. There's also room for a little lightness. Humor, used gently, can unstick a moment. Not sarcasm or mockery, those inflame, but a warm smile and, "We're both stubborn. Wonder where you learned that?" can sometimes soften the edges just enough to breathe again. Only use humor if it lands kindly. If it doesn't, drop it and return to listening. The point isn't to dodge the topic. It's to remind each other that you're on the same team, even when you're not on the same page. When the storm passes, and it will, there's a way to close the loop that builds resilience for next time. Think of it as a small repair made out loud. It has 3 parts, and you can do all 3 in under a minute. First, name what you wish you'd done differently in your own behavior, even if it was only 5% of the problem. I wish I hadn't raised my voice. Second, name their feeling without arguing with it. It makes sense you felt dismissed. Third, name one small plan for next time. I'm going to ask, do you want comfort or ideas, before I respond. You don't need to ask for equal blame. You don't need to extract a promise. You just place a brick of trust where a brick fell out. Brick by brick, that's how families get sturdier. And in those quieter moments after, when no one is angry anymore and the house feels like itself again, there's a gentle way to gather what the moment taught you, so you can carry it forward without carrying the heat. By turning the heat into honest learning, softly and soon, but not while the pot's still boiling. When the room is quiet again, maybe after dinner's cleared, maybe during a slow walk to the mailbox, you can invite a simple look back without blame. You might say, I care about us. I want to understand what hurt and what would help next time. Then listen as if you're collecting delicate glass, not evidence. If they struggle for words, you can offer a gentle nudge. Was it the timing, the tone, or the topic? Let them sort through those drawers. When you do speak, keep it small and human. I wish I had caught myself sooner. I want to try a different way. Those are repair words, and repairs are the stitches that keep a relationship from unraveling. Sometimes the truest progress is naming the feeling under the anger. Anger is often the guard dog for something softer. Disappointment, fear, shame, grief. If you can help your child touch that softer spot without pushing, the barking quiets. You could say, "I'm wondering if this felt like I didn't have your back." Or, "Did it land like I cared more about rules than about you?" If you're off, they'll correct you, and that's good news. It means they're shifting from blasting to explaining. If you're close, you'll see the shoulders drop, the jaw loosen, the eyes settle. You don't need a grand speech, just a steady presence that says, "You're safe to be real here." Real homes have practical needs, so let's make this work on the ground. If you're dealing with little grandkids melting down after you say it's time to leave the park, usher their bodies toward calm before asking for words. Offer water, a snack, or a short walk to the car, counting steps together. The body calms first. The brain follows. For teens, choose fewer words and a softer tone. "I hear you. We'll talk when we're both kinder." For adult children, whose anger arrives by text, avoid paragraphs. Text short and clear. "I care. I'm listening. Let's talk at 6. Phones strip out warmth, so add it with your timing and your voice later. If hearing is tricky some days, say it out loud. "I want to hear you well. Let's FaceTime so I can see your face." Or ask them to slow down so you aren't left guessing and guessing wrong. Rituals help when emotions run high. Create a tiny family ritual you can use no matter the topic. Maybe it's a hand on the heart before you answer, a deep exhale while you look out the window, or a phrase like, "Same team." Some families use a stoplight in their heads. Red means breathe and say nothing. Yellow means ask one curious question. Green means share your view in 1 or 2 sentences. You can even agree on a reset move, like both of you sitting at the kitchen table with warm mugs in your hands before you continue. Rituals reduce the number of decisions you have to make while you're emotional, which keeps you from slipping back into old habits that never worked. If your child's anger circles the same themes, privacy, money, politics, grandparent rules, set a clear path you can both find again next time. Picture it like painting a center line down a country road. You might say, "When it comes to sharing news, I'll ask before I tell. If I forget, you'll remind me once and I'll repair." Or, "I can give this much help this month. If you need more, I'll help you brainstorm, not go beyond what keeps me steady." When the line is clear, you don't have to white-knuckle the wheel every time a curve appears. You simply steer where you both agreed the road goes. Boundaries belong in loving homes. Love without boundaries becomes fear, and fear keeps people performing instead of connecting. If the language turns cutting, you can be warm and firm in the same breath. "I want to hear you. I don't do insults. Let's continue when we can be respectful." Then follow through. Return when you said you would. Consistency teaches faster than lectures ever could. If the pattern of disrespect repeats despite your steady boundary, it's okay to expand the circle. Suggest a neutral third party, a counselor, a pastor, a skilled friend, to help you both slow down and hear each other. Inviting help isn't failure. It's care for a relationship you want to last longer than any argument. Your own body is part of this story. After 60, energy is a resource to spend wisely. Hard talks land better in your best hour, not your worst. If mornings are easier, nudge tough topics earlier. "I want to give this my best. Can we talk at 10? Keep water nearby, eat before you dive in, check that your hearing aids are charged. Take your evening pills after the call, not during. These small acts of preparation are not indulgence. They're kindness to a nervous system that has carried you far and still wants to carry you well. When your body feels supported, your patience gets longer and your words get softer. You'll also recover faster if you build a quiet place to set down the leftovers of a hard conversation. A notebook works wonders. After the call or the kitchen talk, jot 2 columns in your mind or on paper. "What I did that helped," What I'll try next time. Keep it short. Maybe you write, lowered my voice, helped, and interrupted. Next time, breathe. If you pray, breathe a prayer for both of you by name. If you meditate, set a 3-minute timer and let the last echoes pass through you. If you walk, take a loop around the block and notice 3 blue things, 3 green things, 3 warm things. You're telling your body, we're done now, so you don't carry the argument into your sleep. A word about humor. Use gently, it opens windows. Use sharply, it closes doors. Let your humor be the kind that wraps an arm, not pokes a bruise. A soft smile and, we both got our stubborn streak from Grandpa, may loosen the knot. If their face says it didn't land, drop it immediately and return to listening. Your goal isn't to escape the moment. It's to lighten it enough that you both remember you like each other. And when you do need to speak your truth, about your needs, your limits, your hopes, keep it rooted in care. I want a relationship where we tell each other the truth kindly. I'll do my part to make that true. Then show it in small, consistent ways. Answer the phone when you can. Call back when you said you would. Celebrate their wins out loud. Respect a no without turning it into a story about your worth. The daily steady things make the rare hard things easier to weather. If you worry you've already made too many mistakes, hear this. Relationships are not graded like quizzes. They are gardens. What you water grows. Every time you choose a calmer voice, a kinder boundary, a curious question, you are watering trust. You won't see fruit every day. Some days you'll see only dirt and feel only ache. But the seeds are in there doing their quiet work. Keep tending. Keep showing up. Keep making small repairs. It is never too late for a family to learn a better dance. The heart of this approach is simple enough to remember on a hard day. Go first with calm. Protect the connection before the correction. Make space for feelings without giving up your truth. Ask short, kind questions. Offer small choices. Repair out loud. Keep your boundaries warm and your limits clear. Take care of your body so your body can take care of your words. None of these are flashy. All of them change rooms. I'd love to hear what line or move felt most useful to you. Maybe you tried. Do you want comfort or ideas? And felt the conversation soften. Maybe you set a new limit about last-minute plans and, to your surprise, your child thanked you later. Share your experience in the comments so other folks in this community can learn from your wisdom. If there's a phrase you grew up hearing that you've rewritten into something gentler, teach it to us. We're listening. If today's conversation helped you feel steadier, would you tap like and subscribe to Strong Elderly Life? It tells the platform to show this kind of care-first guidance to more families who need it. And if you want more gentle, practical ideas for real-life challenges after 60, make sure to hit the bell so you'll see new videos when they arrive. We're building a place where wisdom and kindness grow side by side. Here's to a softer voice, a stronger bond, and a home that feels safe for every age. Here's to choosing connection over victory and learning to calm storms without losing ourselves. Most of all, here's to living your best life at any age, with the people you love close enough to hear you whisper, "Same team,